welcome back to my channel. Today is Halloween, so happy Halloween. I have my pumpkin. Well, this is a fake pumpkin and it has a little button. I don't think... Okay. All right. So enough of that. So today I am just making a video on a certain topic that has been troubling me for the past year, and I'm certainly sure there's several of you out there that are going to watch this video that know exactly what I'm talking about or exactly how I feel about what is going on. So this is in regards to animal hospitals and emergency animal hospitals. So lately, I've been seeing a lot of videos on Facebook for these particular emergency animal hospitals. They put out these videos where they're being interviewed by the news channels, and you know, they say about why they're being overran right now with animals, because last year during COVID, everybody went out and they adopted a pet, which is great. That's wonderful. But now it's like all the animals are getting sick and now they're overran, and anytime you call, you have to be patient and yeah. Okay, so we got the scoop. We know the story, right? We're overran, we're understaffed, everybody's quitting their jobs, and probably for good reason. Underpay, forced to get things they don't want to do. So I get it. I totally get it. However, it's getting a little ridiculous, like, to say the least. I get it. You're overran and everybody's, but how long can we hold this excuse? How long can we do this story? Like, I feel like it's the excuse of the year. I feel like no matter what, and no matter what profession you're in, or no matter what place you're calling or something that you need, I feel like, oh, it's COVID is the excuse of the year of why we're too lazy to get up and do anything, or why we're too lazy to answer a question, or why we're too lazy to give you a call back. Because at the end of the day, everyone has a moment of time. It's kind of like the post office. The post office is another thing that I have a rant about how freaking long it is taking for the mail, and the excuses. I don't understand. Like, please leave a comment down below. Like, enlighten me of why it is so difficult. So, I have had personal experience with the animal hospital, the emergency animal hospital, and personal as well. Like, trying to get into the regular doctors is a nightmare. It takes weeks out. You can't go in. You have to call from your car. It's like this whole lockdown thing. They have to like do this big hullabaloo, and you don't know what's going on. You miss out on questions answered, and things that you want to say you forget because you're on the phone. You're not sitting in the room to be like, oh my god, when she comes back in, or he, I need to tell him that. No, because now you gotta wait for hours for him to call you again, and you sit in a parking lot for 5-6 hours. I have had personal issues with this, so this is very troublesome to me. And recently I had an issue with one of my kitties. This has just happened this past week, where they were in the hospital like about, we'll say 2 weeks ago, for like a day, and then they came out, and then they had a follow-up appointment like a week and a half later. Okay, so once we went to the follow-up appointment, they ended up saying, well, if it was my cat, I would do this, to do an enema, whatever, and that created like this downward spiral. So that night, it was a horrific night for me and for my cat, because he was clearly suffering, in pain, vomiting nonstop, and freaking bleeding out his ass, right? So I'm calling the main hospital that I have probably dropped about $10,000 in 2 months, okay? In all fairness, right? I call them and they're full, right? Full capacity. Sorry, can't help you. Go somewhere else. Okay. Right? That's the kind of like shit that you get. But at least they were honest and upfront. Then I call VCA. Okay? The other hospital was Access. Then I call VCA, the one that's on Hawthorne Boulevard, the Advanced Veterinary Care Center. Okay? If anybody knows anything about Torrance, Lawndale, whatever, it's on Hawthorne Boulevard right by the 405 freeway. So I called there, and the girl at the front desk was very sweet, and she's like, we're not that busy tonight, so, you know, if you want to go ahead and bring him in, we can try to work him in, and blah, blah, blah. So, I want to take him over and get him fluids, get him a Serenia shot for his nausea, and, like, you know, just try to get him situated. So I take him over, she talks to me, and then she puts the doctor's assistant, or vet tech, whatever it is, on the phone, that proceeds to pretty much tell me it's going to be, you know, $120 for the emergency visit. If his heart stops, it's $500 to $1,000. I'm just letting you know this. And he's not going to get seen for 6 hours. I said, okay, so, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Either one, I can leave him in a cold cage for 6 hours because you're not even going to look at him. Or take him home and deal with the same thing at home. So while he's puking in the cage, you're not going to look at him. Your doctor's not going to look at him. And she's like, well, we only have one doctor, ma'am. You know, and I'm like, really? All right. The attitude, complete, no empathy whatsoever at all. You only are a fucking number to these hospitals. Your animal is just that. It's nothing more. Now, I can honestly say, like, Access was very, very sweet, you know, and the first time he was in the hospital in July, and then again, but then they couldn't take him. But that's not my, sorry, that's not my complaint. My complaint is VCA about the fucking attitude that they had. And let me tell you, that attitude was bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. Like, why? Like, you know, and now I'm like, do I leave him? Do I not leave him? He's not going to get seen. It's ridiculous. And she's like, well, if the thing is, if another case comes in, somebody gets hit by a car, they're going to get precedence over you. They're going to be priority. I said, I get that. Like, I get it, right? But I'm not seeing, there's 2 cars in the parking lot. Nobody was rushing in the door with a freaking dog being hit. My cat is bleeding out his ass and freaking vomiting, and you don't want to look at him? You're not going to look at him for 4 to 6 hours? Definitely not going to, because you only have one doctor on staff. Like, if you don't have emergencies and you have the people that are there, you obviously do your round, you know, make sure everybody's cool. But the people like me that come in, you know, you could give them fluids and assess. I don't know. The whole thing of this is ridiculous. The word emergency doesn't mean emergency anymore. And I don't know when we're ever going to get back to a normal. I don't know if there is going to be a normal. Like, are we ever going to be allowed to be in a doctor's office again? Are we ever going to be able to do that? Or is the normal going to be stay in your car? Have you been around anybody? I mean, come on. Enough is enough. And we're full capacity no matter what. So emergency, that's a word of the past. Emergency means, yeah, we'll see you in 5 weeks. You know, if you're sick, forget it. And that's another thing. If they won't take him, and there or somebody's full capacity, if your animal does get hit by a car, where do you go to? Where do you go? This is like the thing we need to draw the freaking line. I get it. Last year, everybody adopted instead of the animals being in the shelter and being put to sleep. I get that. They all got adopted. They all got homes. That's wonderful. But when you have a dire emergency, if something happens to your animal, because a cat that's constantly vomiting and diarrhea and blood in a stool, that's a life-threatening emergency. It truly is. I worked in an animal hospital before. I kind of know when things are serious and when they're not. I'm not a moron. But you get treated like a moron when you call because they have no idea that you came from that field or you work in the medical field. Okay? So, just, these people, I don't know. It's like, show some empathy, show some respect. Priorities, people. Like, stop with the not letting you in, not helping you syndrome. Like, you're just a number syndrome. I mean, the way I was treated by VCA was completely ludicrous. Completely ridiculous. I will never go back to that place again. Never been a fan of VCA. And I definitely will never approach one again, no matter what. Like, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. But if any of you out there have experienced what I've gone through, and you're trying to get and I'm not talking about taking your animal for some shots, you know, the vaccines and shit. I'm not talking about like your annual, like whatever. I'm talking about when you have an emergency for your pet. Have you ever experienced any of this? Leave your comments down below and let me know. Like, I understand both sides of the coin, don't get me wrong, but enough is enough. I'm at this point where I'm like, okay, I have real emergency and you're turning me away. Like, if my cat was to get hit by a car, you couldn't get in because emergency, that word doesn't mean emergency anymore. There is no emergency. It's gone. It's gone because we have excuse of the year now. Excuse of the decade or the century. I don't know. I have a feeling this is going to be the excuse forever. Forever. It's called being lazy. It's called not doing your fucking job. It's called all kinds of fucking shit that you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. It's ridiculous. I'm so angry. And I'm not this person that like, well, I can't be this person. but you get my point. I've been very patient with these people and very like push back and whatever. But enough is enough. And some things need to be called out on the spot and, you know, about this. So if you guys have experienced this, leave a comment down below. Like this video, share this video, get the word out there. I'm sure there's other people that have experienced the same thing that I'm going through. And enough is enough. It needs to stop. It really does. You know, I know they're short-staffed. They're hiring like crazy everywhere. Everybody's hiring, but nobody wants to work. Everybody wants to stay home and collect the money. Can we just like get off this monkey circus? Can we just get off this merry-go-round right now? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Lazy. It's not fully capacitated. It's called lazy. Capital L. Lazy. Alrighty guys. Happy Halloween. I love you so, so, so very much. Until the next time. Bye. And peace.